Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast series. My name is Christine Trejo. I will be your host for the next couple of podcasts. And welcome to Gen Z versus Hispanic lifestyles. I'm so excited to be doing this podcast series where we're basically going to be looking at Gen Z's point of view on societal issues and how it kind of comes into play with Hispanic ideologies and beliefs that many of us Hispanic Americans have. So today I have a very special guest with me, and she's very special because she is my niece, and I'm so happy to have you, especially on my first episode. Can you please introduce yourself to the people?
So my name is Jade Pena, and I am in 3rd grade. I was born in November 2nd, 2011.
That is great. So being born in 2011 means you just slightly made the cut to be part of Gen Z. So that's very cool that you're part of my generation, girl. We're very excited to have you. So tell me, do you know what a generation is?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. So basically, a generation is just a group of people who are born from a specific point of time, right? So anyone born from 1995 to 2012 would be considered part of our generation, of Generation Z. Now, the most common thing about generations and what makes a generation would be the generational experiences that we have. Can you think of like any experience that you think our generation has, especially right now? All right, so I'll help you out. She's a little bit shy. Well, one I'd say big generational experience that we have is COVID, right? And
yes.
COVID, the pandemic, was not only our generation, is also generations before and generations after us. But doing school during COVID is very much a Gen Z experience. But today we are not talking about COVID. Today we are actually going to be talking about women and stereotypes in Hispanic families and how our experiences as Gen Z kind of shifts our point of view on that. Now, before we get started, it's kind of a common conception that Gen Z is considered woke. Do you know what being woke kind of means?
Not much.
Not much. So basically, being woke is kind of like being aware. So it's like you're awoken, you know? Like, I'll give you an example. Say racism in our country. Are you aware that there's racism in the country?
Yes.
Right? And who are the targets of racism in this country? People of color, right?
Yes.
And being aware of this and trying to do your part and help out, speaking out and acknowledging this issue in our country would be considered a woke thing to do. We're woke. So, with that being said, we are going to be talking about women and stereotypes. Now, when you think of women in the Hispanic household, Hispanic family, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
For like my opinion, when I see my mom, I think she's a busy woman and
right.
like very hard worker.
Hardworking. That's nice. That's good. So, yes, it's very common that women in Hispanic families are very hardworking women, right? So, how do you think women get treated in Hispanic families? You as a girl, not only like older women, but just females in general. Like, how do you think that girls get treated in Hispanic families?
I think they get treated like the girls have to do everything.
Right.
Yeah, because basically I have to do some of my house chores. But when my dad says, Jade, come do the dishes, my mom actually says, you go do the dishes. So,
like to your dad?
Yes.
Right.
But I have to do it.
You have to do it. Because why?
Because, like, he is a very, very hard worker. He does a work that he has to fix trucks.
Right.
So he basically comes at 7 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
When he comes at house, he puts a movie on, and I have to do my room. So my mom has to take care of my baby brother.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically hard for him to do it. So he just wants me to do almost all the housework. My mom cooks and stuff, but I clean. Not that much. Like, I don't know how to...
You don't know how to clean?
I don't even know how to cook.
So at what age did you start cleaning? Do you know?
Yes, I started cleaning like at 7.
At
6.
7 years old. And what would you say you have to clean the most?
My room.
Your room?
Yes.
Me too, honestly. But I think I clean the bathroom more than I clean my room. Yeah. Well, speaking about responsibilities and stuff like that, men are the money earners, right?
Yes.
But in today's world, we know that women have jobs too. So does your stepmom have a job?
My stepmom, yes, she has a job. She's not a doctor, but she's like the helper of the doctor.
So she's a nurse?
Yes.
Wow, that's a really good job, right?
Yeah.
And do you admire her for that?
Yes.
Right? That's super cool. That's so cool. So as a nurse jobs aren't easy either, right? No.
She has to, for my mom's job, she only has to stand for 8 hours and help the doctor.
Standing for 8 hours? Imagine that. My legs are tired already.
But sometimes she has breaks and she sits down for a while, like 1 hour and stuff.
Right.
But she has to help a lot the doctors.
Right. So how do you think she feels when she comes home and she has to cook and clean?
For her, I will feel like it's very hard.
Right.
Because she has to come home, standing for 8 hours, cleaning, cooking. And if I was the one doing it, it would be difficult.
Right. And does your dad ever help her, like, with cooking or cleaning?
He doesn't cook, but sometimes he helps by cleaning the house.
Right. And that's really good that he helps. Although the cooking situation, I remember when I was little, the roles were very much reversed. So in Hispanic households, it's very common. I know a lot of my friends and a lot of family and my parents, my aunts, uncles, all these people were grown up that women have to do the housework. Women have to cook, women have to clean, women have to take care of the siblings, especially if you're an older sibling. And you understand that too because you're an older sister and to a baby boy, which we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But it's just a lot expected of us, right? We have to cook, we have to clean. I remember my first time learning how to cook, I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Yup. And I know a lot of our cousins, like Bella, was doing it even when she was younger. And like, I've always had to clean. When I was little, my mom would be like, let's play housewife. And that's like, you look at it now and you're like, whoa, housewife. That could be seen a little problematic. But she'd be like, yeah, let's play housewife. And she'd have me help her clean everything. And it's kind of like
learning how to clean.
Right. It sets you up in this role, which is like this person, if I get married, I have to do A, B, and C. And growing up, I always heard my mom say, well, you have to learn how to cook and you have to learn how to clean because you're going to get married one day and you have to be able to do this for your husband.
Yes, especially you have to cook a lot.
Yeah, and do you hear that in your house too?
Yes,
right.
A lot.
Right, because that's just something that is expected of us. And even my grandma, I remember the other day we were playing and my mom, right, we were doing your makeup and my mom was like, how come you guys don't play housewife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hold up, I don't want to play that game anymore. And an issue that I kept running into was, how come I have to always play housewife and I always have to cook and I always have to clean and take care of everyone when they're sick? like now and do everything. But my brother, my little brother, doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, I understand that you have a baby brother, so that's kind of different.
Difficult. Yeah, it's like.
But it's still hard, right? And like what you'll see, or I don't know if you will see it, but what I saw growing up was that my parents didn't really make my brother do as much as me, ever. Even now, I mean, when I got a job and I wasn't home as much, they would make him do more chores. They would have him clean the kitchen and stuff. But even then, I was still expected to do the chores, go to work, and do my schoolwork. And that was very hard for me because I'm like, well, I have a
brother,
about to be 17-year-old brother who doesn't do as much, who was never really taught to do as much. We're talking about a person who used to burn ramen noodles because he forgot to put water in it and put it in the microwave just like that, you know? And it's like, well, that's not really fair. I don't think that's fair, you know?
Because if he was like, their parents would let him do like yours,
the same amount of work.
Yeah. It would be better for him because if he has a girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
So if his girlfriend can't do anything or is tired or sick and nobody can take care of her,
he can help her out.
He can help her out.
Exactly.
But if he doesn't know anything.
Exactly. Right. So that's something that people don't really talk about in Hispanic families. And they always teach you to be a hard worker if you're a man. But if you're a woman, you have to cook. You have to clean. And how do you feel about that stereotype? How does that make you feel?
That makes, from my opinion, that really makes me feel like tired and sometimes I get mad.
Mad, right?
Yes.
I feel frustrated. I feel very frustrated because I get really tired. Now I've seen more of a difference as I get older and I talk to my parents more. I think my parents are a little bit more understanding. And I'm like, hey, I'm tired. I work a 6 to 8 hour shift. I go to school for 8 hours or a little less now that we're online. But, you know, I have responsibilities. I still have work to do. You know, I take really hard classes. I'm a senior in high school. So it's like I have this brother who doesn't really work as hard for his grades and, you know, doesn't really do much around the house. And he gets to play video games and slack off. And I have to do the work. So after a lot of conversation, they started having him do the dishes like every single day. I do not touch these dishes. I mean, I do, but I don't really like touching the dishes anymore because it's like that's something that's
for him.
His responsibility now. You know, I want the responsibilities to be equally shared. And something that a lot of Hispanic families don't really talk about is the fact that they should be shared. They don't really talk about men doing a housework.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like they think, oh, a boy cooking, that's girly. Like a boy cleaning, like he doesn't have to learn how to clean. He's going to get a wife.
Yeah, but still, if the wife isn't there...
Exactly.
He has to do all the work because she gets tired from work.
Exactly. And like what happens when he moves out, he's single or he's in college or he's doing whatever he is in life and he doesn't have a wife for him there.
It will be difficult.
Very difficult.
And he has to learn how to cook, how to clean,
right,
stuff like that.
Right. What do you feel when you hear the word women?
When my mom says I'm going to become a woman one day, I'll be excited, but not that excited, you know, because I have to clean and...
Yeah, right. I totally understand that. For me, it's taken a lot for me to shift my point of view from being like, oh, I'm a woman. I have to grow up one day and I have to do all this work to it's like, I'm a woman, okay? Yes. And there's a lot of pressure against me in all different sides, from society to look a certain way, from my household to do a certain job. And that's just not only in Hispanic households. You'll see that in a lot of other households. You'll always see that stereotype that's like, well, women have to be in the kitchen and women have to be like doing the housework, and that's very misogynistic. But I grew out of that. I want to get a job. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I really want to be a doctor. But
that's so cool.
But you have to study hard.
Yes.
Because being a doctor, you have to be careful with the vaccines and stuff.
Yes.
Patients.
Yeah, and a lot of times that you see is in becoming a doctor, nursing, and STEM, see that there's not really a lot of women in that category because you'll see women becoming more nurses and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's because there's a lot of shying away for women. It's like, oh, you want to be a doctor? Well, you don't really have time to be a doctor because you have to be a mom, because you have to cook, because you have to clean, because you don't belong here. You're not smart enough.
Actually, you don't have to be a mom if you don't want to.
Exactly. That's a very good point. But, like, I just, like, when I think of women, I think of people who have been fought against for so long. And these are strong people who have fought for their rights, fought for their right to vote, fought for their right to work, who picked up the slack. Especially, you'll learn when you get older.
Like Rosa Parks.
Yes, like Rosa Parks. And, like, women from world wars, when we had, like, World War I or II, like, men were off to war. Who was sitting at home taking care of the jobs, taking care of everything that the men used to take care of? It was us.
No,
it was the women. And when I think of that, I think of powerful people who have so much potential. We can do so much with our lives. And we're put in this bubble. We're limited.
Like, there's a lot of women that helped our city long ago.
Exactly.
Rosa Parks helped us.
Yeah, so women are strong people. Women have potential. And we're constantly,
a lot of power.
Yeah, we're put in this bubble that's like, well, if you don't do it, who's going to do it? So what do you think would be a good solution for this issue?
I think boys and girls, women and men should have equally chores.
Yes, I agree.
If you have this, an example of this house is a mess. Papers on the floor, stuff like that. And the woman has to clean the whole thing. It will be clean. But then the man comes and makes another mess.
Right.
So they should cooperate and
clean up the mess.
Yes.
I completely agree with that. I think that from a young age, parents should teach their children, hey, your gender, your biology does not matter. It doesn't matter. Girl, boy, non-binary, whatever you want to identify as, you have to be responsible for your own life. And you have to get up and clean up after yourself because that's the human thing to do. And you have to learn how to provide for yourself as a person, especially in the society that we're becoming. We're seeing more and more of an independence and more kind of like a separation from your standard like marriages and stuff like that. And it's like, well, you can be a man and you can end up alone. Yes. What are you going to do then? Parents need to teach their children, you have to clean and you have to learn how to cook. If my daughter has to learn how to cook and clean, my son will also have to learn how to cook and clean. And everyone needs to learn how to provide for themselves. I think that cooking and cleaning is a basic thing that you have to know for everyone. And I have actually helped my brother a lot in the cooking stuff. Yes. And he does more. He cooks more now because I've been helping him. And he cleans more now because I've been helping him. Yeah. Because in the real world, I'm not going to be there at his house to clean up after him. We don't know if he's going to have a significant other who's going to come to his house and clean and cook for him. And I know my mom's not going to do that. So he has to learn how to do that. And that's what we need to see more of, especially in Hispanic families. And it's sad because I've seen all the women in my family go through so much. Like our grandma, when she was younger, she used to work so hard so that she can put her daughters in school. She used to farm. Her husband was in the military. So she used to be at home and she used to farm and take care of farm animals. And she used to sell the stuff. She used to sell chickens and vegetables and all of that so that she can get money to pay for my mom and your grandma's school.
Okay.
Right? And my mom has worked her whole life. My mom used to have 3 jobs, and my dad only had one, or he would get fired. My mom has been the hardest working woman of my life, and she has worked to provide for me. My dad helps a little bit, but my mom, she used to work 3 jobs, come home, cook, clean, with my help, of course.
She's a very hard worker.
And I'm so thankful
for my opinion, 3 jobs.
3 jobs is a lot.
Yes.
She used to work at, like, she had the Costco job that she has now at the warehouse. And then she had a job at Target warehouse. And, yeah, and they would overwork her. It was a lot of work, and she would barely sleep. Wow. And then on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays, she would work at H&R Block. So I admire my mom so much. With all of that being said, I just think that women deserve so much more than they get. And I think that as Hispanic people who have a history of women being hard workers, especially in my family, I think that we have to get out of that mentality that women belong in the kitchen, those misogynistic ideas. Yes. And I think that we should teach our daughters,
sons, to do
everything
working,
equally,
cleaning, and all stuff.
Yep.
But it should be fair, not like the women have to do everything or the boys have to do everything by themselves. It has to be equally and fair.
Yep. And I also think that we have to teach our daughters that they can do it, and that they can be hard workers, and that they can be whatever they want to be. Because for men can be whatever they want to be.
Because they are
men.
Yes.
They're at the top of the food chain.
Yes.
And women don't have it like that. And I think that we should push our daughters. Like, yes, if you want to be a STEM major, you could be a STEM major. If you want to be a doctor, a scientist, a teacher, like, whatever you want to be, you can do it. Nothing should be limited to a gender.
Nothing is impossible.
Well, this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you about this topic. So I just want to end this episode off with, I want you to tell me who is the most important, or which woman is the woman that you look up to the most. Who do you think is the strongest, like, most powerful, most important woman in your life?
For my opinion, I think that my mom is the hardest worker in my house because she has a lot of responsibilities.
And for me, it'll definitely be my mom. My mom is the strongest woman I know. And this concludes this podcast series of Gen Z versus Hispanic norms. Thank you guys for joining. It's very much appreciated, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.